Welcome, football fans. Super Wild Card Weekend has arrived. I'm Chris Billings, joined by Nicholas Kerr and Tony Parlay Reyes. Welcome, gentlemen. Saturday games. One of these
Mm-hmm.
games involves Nick's team, the
Yes.
Dolphins. Before we get to that, we got the Browns.
Yep.
Never like Joe Flacco and the Browns taking on rookie CJ Stroud and the Texans. Definitely a matchup none of us predicted.
Mm-mm. No, definitely not.
Cleveland favored by 2. We just checked that. Thank you, Tony. Thank you, MGM. So let's dive right into it. I'll start with Tony. Talk to us about the Browns versus the Texans, our first playoff game of the year.
You're right, Chris. The one we all predicted. Easy matchup to call here. No, man, it's a good one. It is a really good one. CJ Stroud and that Texans team, it seems like they're a little ahead of schedule, making those strides, winning that AFC South, coming up clutch against the Colts last week. It's so difficult to pick against this team and this guy. He has a lot of this whole Joe Burrow flair to him. I swear, the first play of that game was a 75-yard bomb to Nico Collins, and I was like, this game's over. This game's over after one play. The poise, the confidence in the pocket. He's definitely going to win Rookie of the Year over Puka Nacua. It's going to be close, but he's going to win it. CJ Stroud is so composed. But I think CJ Stroud's going to be running for his life because Myles Garrett in that defense is unbelievable this season.
Mm-hmm.
He's been unbelievable. I think he has 15 sacks. He's up there at the sacks. I know he's like one of those sack leaders in the top 5 for sure. Definitely up there with the pressures and the hurries. I think that's just the one thing they can't game plan for is I think the Cleveland's going to be able to get home with 4 guys. And if they're able to get home with 4, led by Garrett, they're going to be able to drop 7, and if they drop 7, it's going to be a lot more difficult for CJ Stroud to find those open guys. I did read, I think I just saw this notification before we were recording. I think Denzel Ward got injured in practice today. Maybe he got nicked up, which could be something to look out for. But that Browns defense in general is just so well coached, and they're just so good. I'm going to take the Browns. I'm going to take the Browns to win, even though they're on the road, led by Joe Flacco and everything. Most quarterbacks don't do well in their first start in the playoffs. It's a different environment. It's a different speed. It's a different atmosphere. It takes some time. I think Joe Flacco's got that composure, got that experience. Stefanski's been there as well. Give me the Browns in this one. I got them winning this game. Exact score here for you, 20-17, covering that 2-point spread by 8 points.
All right. We'll jump to Nick on this one. Talk to us about the Browns versus the Texans.
I mean, what more is there to say other than what Tony just said there? I agree with a lot of the points you were just making because these are probably 2 of the most surprising teams of this year, especially with all the injuries that the Browns had to deal with, especially at quarterback. For them to make it into the playoffs as the top-seeded wildcard team, they were pushing for the division late in the year, and it was all thanks to Joe Burrow and Joe Flacco in that defense. So I think I'm also going to take the Browns here because CJ Stroud, yeah, he's had a great year, him and rookie head coach D'Amico Ryans, but I think they were still maybe a year or 2 off. I think it was nice that they were able to win the division, but I think they come up a little short against this defense. So I'm going to take the Browns here. Exact score, I'm thinking probably 23-17.
All right. I'm in agreement with you guys. Looks like that's a family play. Cue Vin Diesel. I'm taking the Browns as well. Just looking at it here, in terms of rookies that have won playoff games, it's pretty funny that we got CJ Stroud going up against Joe Flacco, who used to have the record for most games played as a rookie QB, playoff games played.
Mm-hmm.
He was surpassed by Brock Purdy, who we'll get to next week. But yeah, I think ultimately that's the biggest knock for me in this game is to have a rookie QB in the playoffs. I think that's a lot of pressure. And whereas Joe Flacco kind of had a team built around him, Brock Purdy had a team built around him. We had Mark Sanchez that also went on a rookie run his year. He had a good team surrounding him. Also, the the common denominator between those teams was they all had great defenses. I don't think Houston has a great enough defense to do that for CJ Stroud. Like I think Tony's spot on where he's gonna get Rookie of the Year. Just be happy that you got to this point. Like it's beyond successful season. Like Houston Texans fans, look how Panthers fans feel right now. And that could be you. That could have been you. But thankfully it's not. So I would say Texans, take what you got this year, but ultimately you're going up against a veteran team who even has a veteran QB that's playing elite, might we say, at the moment. And then, just as Tony also alluded to, Myles Garrett, all pro Myles Garrett, as we should refer to him. But I have the Browns ultimately winning 22-17 in this game. So, next up, Burr. It's a cold one.
Oh, yeah.
Apparently that's why everyone's wearing a hoodie. We're headed off to Kansas City, where we have the Dolphins going up against the Chiefs. Let's check on that one right here. Chiefs favored by 4.5 points in this one. Tony, I will start with you. Talk to us about Finns versus the Chiefs.
A tough one, man. A tough one. It's just a bad one I think it's just a really bad spot for Miami. They're really injured, really injured, and I think it's very difficult to evaluate everything with this team. I don't know. I don't like where they're at going into this game. They're too injured. They're terrible in cold weather. I'm struggling to find the best win out of Tua. And I mean, I want to burn this whole thing down if they don't win it. I would be like, burn the whole thing down. Don't sign Tua. But I don't know, man. I'm a dude that sits on his couch. I don't know how to build a team. I don't know quarterback evaluation. Maybe give it another year, man. I know Dak Prescott was franchise tagged. I know Kirk Cousins was franchise tagged. Maybe another year, more time would be needed to get that evaluation on if Tua is the guy there. Like
he is signed through next year, by the way.
He is signed. They picked that option up.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm struggling to find the best win. I don't want to say like the best win of Tua's career is beating my Cowboys when you made 5 field goals. That I really can't say that. So it's like I don't know. That said, I think he's really going to struggle in this game. The weather is not their friend. The Dolphins in general struggle in that cold weather. That offense is not really designed for that weather. The Chiefs have been bad this year. They lead the league in drops, so the cold weather shouldn't hurt them. I don't really imagine them changing their offense too much. And I mean, they're so good at home in Arrowhead. I just think they're going to overwhelm the Dolphins in the second half, and the cold is going to get to them. I've got the Chiefs winning this game 19-14 in an ugly game where the field goal kicker makes all these kicks and puts the pressure on the Dolphins late, and the Dolphins pass rushers are out, so there's no pressure on freaking Mahomes, and so he's going to have all day back there. And so I think the Chiefs win this game.
Okay. So we know who Nick's going to pick, so we'll go to him next. And I guess I'll be the tiebreaker here. Tell us why you're picking Miami in this game, Nick.
I mean, first off, I want to start by saying there's no way that of all the games that this one was not going to be on Peacock, because the NFL and Peacock were waiting to make anybody the Chiefs played, they were going to put it in there because they were waiting to make all the Swifties buy the account for a month and then forget to cancel it, and then just all that revenue right there. Plus the added fact of Tyreek going back to Arrowhead. So it was, I knew it was going to end up happening where I would end up having to buy this game. So that being said, it's only fitting that the Dolphins are playing the Chiefs in the playoffs as well, because I've been throwing these Chiefs under the bus since week 1 with the Lions. So I'm hoping that the Dolphins will get their first playoff win in the last 20 years. And like Tony was saying, it's going to be hard with all those injuries, because it just seems like every week there's just another key player injured. And after so much time, that you can't replace all those. So it will be hard. I'm still going to pick the Dolphins here, because I think that Mike McDaniel's going to have to, with the weather, he's going to have to rely on the run game. And the Dolphins have ran the ball well. They just mainly abandoned it in the second half unless they're up by a few touchdowns. So I think that they do have a chance there because Achane averaging almost 8 yards a carry, Mostert leading the league and rushing touchdowns, going against a Chiefs run defense that ranks 27th in the league. So I think that the weather could help them out because both quarterbacks will have to play throwing the ball in this. So I think they will have to rely on running the ball. So with those things, I'm hoping the Dolphins going to win this. I'm going to take them winning the game 20-17.
All right. And yeah, the Peacock thing sucks. Although I think, Nick, you might have spent $9 inadvertently. I'm pretty sure it's showing in like Miami-Dade and Broward counties on local TV. So you don't need Peacock. The rest of us poor schmucks have to pay for this playoff game. But yeah, I'm the tiebreaker here. Surprisingly, I'm going to be a bit subversive. I'm going with the Dolphins on this one. I think with everyone just picking, like, let's be honest here. Everyone's picking the Chiefs in this game.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone's talking about weather being a factor for the Dolphins and just how outmatched they are, blah, 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 blah. And those are always just those trap games in the playoffs. It'd be one thing if the Chiefs were facing Houston in this game, where, yeah, you can kind of write them off and it's a rookie team. They don't really have this experience. But with the Dolphins, like, they have the offense to compete. They have a head coach that can compete. Like, the only thing that I'm a little suspect with on the Dolphins is, will they have the pass rush to get to Patrick Mahomes or to just even have the pass coverage on someone like Travis Kelce? But I think that Mike McDaniel, he's going to come in here and he's going to play my favorite style of football, Bill Cowher ball. He's going to run, eat the clock, keep the ball away from Patrick Mahomes. I think the Dolphins ultimately squeak out a win here, 31-28 in this game. Because just everything's lined up against the Dolphins winning this game. They're going to hear that noise all week of just nobody's picking you. Nobody has a belief that you can win this game. Even Dolphins fans, like, that I've heard beyond Nick, like, their buttholes are so puckered up tight. Like, oh no, we're not going to win this game. Like, I think Dolphins ultimately pull it out. And Chiefs, it's a down year for them. And they seem to have some chemistry, weird things going on in their locker room. I'm sure throwing Taylor Swift and all that nonsense onto it this week's not going to help. So, yeah, give me the Fins. I think that they're going to upset in this one, and they're really going to surprise people. And they won't have to have that Tua conversation, which, to push back on Tony a little bit with that one, I always say, I've said it with Dak, I've said it with Kirk Cousins in years previously, I'll say it with Tua. Like, what's your alternative? Who are you going to go to that's going to give you that kind of offensive output at the moment right now? And so I think
they
you got to
haven't
stay the
scored
core.
that many points, man. Like, you're saying they're going to score 30 in this playoff game. Nick, when's the last time the Dolphins offense scored 30? Like, they don't score any points. Like, that's why I'm like, that's a high-scoring game, Billings. Like, is there some defensive scores in that game? Because, like, the Dolphins and the Chiefs aren't scoring 30 in, like, a month. So that's why I'm like 31-28.
I mean, I kept my a little lower, but there's always room. That could always happen.
Both these defenses suck, in my opinion, and that's why I have
Both these defenses are like the best parts of these teams.
No.
I mean, injuries have riddled the Dolphins' defense a little bit, and like you were saying in your analysis of this, so there is that factor. So it could happen.
Yeah,
there's a lot of speed on both sides, so.
I think this game is going to shatter everybody's expectations of it. Oh, it's going to be this low scoring, bad weather. Chiefs are obviously going to win. And I think we're going to have a surprising game here. Even if the Chiefs manage to pull off the win here, I think it's going to be a close win. I think the Dolphins are going to keep it a lot closer than folks anticipate. But no, I'm still saying Dolphins upset. All right. Those are our Saturday games for Super Wildcard Weekend. We're going to do our Sunday games and the Monday night game separately, so check us out later for that. We got the Steelers going against the Bills, Packers, Cowboys, Rams and Lions, and then Eagles and Bucks. So check us out later for that. But in the meantime, enjoy some Saturday playoff football. Best of luck, Nick.
Thanks for watching the Sports Buds. Be sure to like, follow, and subscribe.